Your past doesn't define you. You do. But seriously, have you ever been angry or just feel frustrated about certain choices that you made previously and you didn't realize in the moment, and it wasn't until time went by that you started to dwell on this moment, and maybe you started to feel angry or bitter or just have resentment towards yourself or the people, places, and things that you were experiencing during that time? Well, it's a lot more common than anybody would like to admit. So, welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, High Guidance, and let's just get straight into this. Let's just get straight into today's video. Why am I so tongue twisted? I may be tongue twisted because I am going through an allergic reaction right now, and it's insane. But your past really does not define you. Speaking from experience, like everyone in life is going to learn lessons. Some lessons may be seasonal, some lessons may last years, days. It honestly just depends on what we're meant to experience in life. And if you know anything about humanity and in the world, you're gonna grow. And growing is going to allow you to learn, unlearn information, resonate with certain people, places, and things, and make choices where you may didn't have the education or you weren't taught and exposed to certain things. So it's not fair to ourselves to limit what we used to do or who we used to know or what we used to be if that's not helping us continue to grow. And when it comes to growth, there's no limitation. So to limit yourself and be so angry and mad and continue to dwell on situations where you didn't know any better isn't gonna change what has happened to you. And because we can't control time or go back in time, honestly, in order for you to accept where you are now is to understand what you went through. And anything you do in life is going to take effort. So when you decide to determine your future and where you are right now, it's really imperative to just reflect on what you've learned previously and understand who you were at that time. So there were many choices that I've made as my past self or my younger self as a young adult, where I look at myself now turning 28 and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I went through certain lessons or I was in certain environments or, like I was around certain things that either weren't for me or were. And from that moment, from that time, I just learned to just embrace where I was at those times because I didn't have what I have now. And honestly, when you learn to be grateful and you transmute the energy instead of like just being so hard on yourself, you realize you did what you could. And the most important thing from your past is no longer to continue the same choices and then decisions that you made. So if you had to learn about yourself, if you learned about other people, if you learn about relationships, if you learned about partnerships, if you're learning from school, whatever it was, just identifying what happened to you and how it affects you. And of course, in the moment, it does seem challenging and difficult, especially if you feel lost or if you don't have friends or family or just support. If you don't, support yourself, it does seem challenging and it does make you feel some type of way. But it's really important to learn how to practice feeling when certain situations affect us. So therefore, we don't continue to hold it in our heart. We don't continue to hold it in our mind, because when you hold anger and pain and frustration in your heart, it makes you close off, makes you become cold, makes you not want to interact with people or, engage with others, and become very distant and closed off, and not in a way of safety or protection, but more of a way of not wanting to be bothered and maybe not even wanting to get up and live your life. Same thing with, people and anything that you've experienced. So it's just like going through certain situations is honestly gonna help you, because if you look at those situations and you look back where you were like 2-3 years ago and you start to realize why you're going in the direction that you're going in, you can now gain control in the present moment, because that's the only thing that you can practically and realistically do is accept what you went through, identify how it made you feel, and understand, is this something that I want to continue to do? And even if you do things and it's considered to be a mistake or accident, everybody is going to make mistakes. Everybody has those days. Shout out to Destiny, Miley, Ray Cyrus, aka Hannah Montana. Like, everybody has to learn, including children. And you have to realize that we've been learning since we were little children as kids. And it's like, kids are naive because they don't have the level of comprehension, they don't have the emotional intelligence. And honestly, it's not until you're 25 where subconsciously and consciously you may be awakening, depending on what you have been programmed, what you've been exposed to. Like, all of us have the same 24 hours, but we're not all exposed and taught certain things. So it's like learning these things as we go through these moments is just like being hard on yourself isn't gonna help you. So these are some recommendations to continue to be gentle to yourself and accept the past version of you that no longer exists, because yes, your past does not define you, but it's a part of you. And like, when we go through trauma and trials and tribulations and abuse and just things, like I said, that are just not positive or effective or productive, it does affect you. And this is why it can affect your mental health. This is why people can feel depressed and have anxiety and be anxious and not feel motivated or not inspired, and like I said, just very angry. So the first recommendation is just knowing that you need you now more than ever, because that past version of you who was going through, like I said, whatever it was, didn't have anybody to turn to. And even when you have people to turn to, sometimes if they're not still in your life now, you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this relationship came to an end. Whether they physically are no longer in your life because they're deceased, or you guys just grew apart, or maybe you guys had a bad falling out. Like, it's okay. Like, you have to validate the fact that when you were in these relationships, when you were in these environments, you witnessed certain things, you heard certain things, and it affected you. Like, everyone has feelings. I don't know why people act like they don't have feelings. Now, of course, you get to control your feelings. You get to decide what you do and not care about. But it's like, if you cared about something, it's okay to care about it. It's okay. Like, if you grew up in poverty and you didn't realize until you got older, and it, made you feel angry or feel unfortunate or made you feel like you couldn't do anything, of course that's going to affect you. Like, why wouldn't it affect you? And it's like, not being afraid to be vulnerable, which is the second thing. Like, you should never be embarrassed or ashamed about what you had to do to get where you are, if you are learning from it, if you are growing, and if you're changing your ways. There are some things that I've had to change about myself, right? In order for me to be this person to recommend these videos. Like, nobody does not go through things in life, and nobody who cares about themselves or who is growing, especially as an adult. My main content is for the adults, right? No grown adult who is consciously aware of themselves and their surroundings is going to intentionally try to harm you. And if they do, that's a wicked energy, wicked person. I don't condone that type of energy. So it's like, being vulnerable. It's fine that in your past you made certain choices that you had to learn from. So for example, myself, I've talked about this. I've been in a lot of car accidents. And the ones that I could remember, like a couple of them, it was me who was in the car, like, by myself, because I was never taught how to drive. I had to learn how to drive by myself. And in my past, in the moment, I would feel some type of way, because I'm just like, I just got into this car accident. I gotta pay for insurance. Like, it's so much that went with it. And as I got older, I had to realize, like, me being so sad about what happened in my past, like, I didn't have nobody to teach me how to drive. So I couldn't be so frustrated with myself. I'm 19 years old. I'm 16, 17 years old. Got into, like I said, a lot of car accidents, all because I had to learn how to drive myself. It'd be different if I was taught how to drive and I had the guidance. Like, I literally taught myself how to drive, and I'm still learning how to drive at the age of 27 years old. So it's like, in the moment, it does seem like you're not going to be able to get through it, but that's not true. And life is just I wish I could put the clip in here. Once I continue to grow on here, I'm gonna get better quality and invest into editing, because it's a lot of things. I'm getting sidetracked, but I'm excited. It's a lot of things that I want to put on the screen. Like, there's this clip and it's like, life is like, oh my god. If you know what I'm talking about, comment down below. But it's just like, life is just an experience. Life is an opportunity. Like, no moment is going to stay forever permanently. So it's just like training our mindsets. Like, if you know you forgive yourself, if you believe in God, ancestors, and universe, if you repent and ask for forgiveness and you're changing your ways, nobody can really seriously judge you, if I'm being honest with you. Anybody who judges you has a lot of skeletons in their closet. And they do. So it's like, don't allow what you did to continue. Now, if you continue to make certain choices from your past and it's not positive, or it's not constructive, if it's not healthy, you will face the consequences. You will deal with your reality, because now you have to be accountable. So if you don't want to be accountable, everyone has free will, but you can't be upset when you put yourself in certain situations or you know certain things. Like, being willfully ignorant, a lot of people think they're just like, oh, if I don't see it or if it's not broken, it's like, no, you're doing yourself harm. But if that's what you want to do, you could do that. But like I said, I don't condone that type of behavior. I'm not going to judge you, but there's no association. So just keep that in mind. Like, you're not your past. We're all going to go through things. The best thing you can do is learn from it, reflect, and know that healing is a journey. Healing is a journey. You may grieve your entire life depending on what the situations were. And until you learn how to talk about them, until you've learned to be uncomfortable, temporary, until you release what it is that you're feeling, it's going to continue to bother you. And that's why people have PTSD. Like, they're suffering with memories that no longer exist. And it's unhealthy. So if you have questions, comments, or concerns and this video resonates with you, make sure you comment down below. Or if you're interested in any other topics, what should we talk about? It's a new month, okay, when I'm posting this or whenever you see it. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. All information will be down in the description box below. When you follow me on my Instagram and on TikTok, I post on my story and I do polls and I ask you guys questions to see what you guys are interested in, if these videos are effective, what we can continue to do, what we can continue to do to move forward and make progress, or what are some things we need to dissect or separate from, as well as going live. Okay, I want to continue to build YouTube as well. Take your time doing anything that you do. Take your time doing anything that you do. And yeah, and if you want a one-on-one session, head to my website at psyguidance.somewhere.com. And don't be shy, okay? Don't be shy if you're new here. Just remember, life is about choices. You don't have to stay stuck in your past if you choose to move forward and forgive yourself, which is the last thing. Forgiveness is mandatory, okay? Bye.